In the rolling hills of Mvezo, a small village in South Africa's Eastern Cape, a boy was born in 1918 who would one day become the symbol of freedom for an entire world. His name was Rolihlahla Mandela, a Xhosa name that meant troublemaker. To the missionaries at school he was given another name, Nelson, a small act that hinted at the clash of cultures that defined his generation. A small act that hinted at the clash of cultures that defined his generation. Mandela grew up listening to stories of proud African chiefs who had resisted colonial rule. His father was a counselor to the Thembu king, and though the family lived modestly, young Mandela inherited a deep sense of dignity and pride in his heritage. As he grew older, Mandela studied law, becoming one of the few black lawyers in apartheid South Africa. He saw with his own eyes how his people were humiliated daily, forced to carry passes, restricted from living in certain areas, denied basic human rights. In Johannesburg, Mandela joined the African National Congress (ANC) and became a leading voice in the Defiance campaign, organizing boycotts, strikes, and protests against apartheid laws. At first, he believed in non-violent resistance, inspired by leaders like Gandhi. But as the apartheid regime grew more brutal, and peaceful protesters were massacred in places like Sharpeville in 1960, Mandela and his comrades realized that words alone were not enough. With heavy heart, Mandela helped form Umkhonto we Sizwe, the Spear of the Nation, an armed wing of the ANC. He became a wanted man, hunted by the police, moving from safe house to safe house, a revolutionary in the shadows. He became a wanted man, hunted by the police, moving from safe house to safe house, a revolutionary in the shadows, a revolutionary in the shadows. In 1962, he was captured. At the Rivonia trial, Mandela stood before the court, facing the possibility of death. His speech that day would echo through history. "I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society. It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." The court spared his life but condemned him to life imprisonment. Mandela was sent to the infamous Robben Island, a barren rock in the sea where prisoners were broken by labor and isolation. For 27 long years he endured backbreaking work, a tiny cell, and the cruelty of guards. Yet he refused to be broken. Instead he studied, he wrote, he counseled younger prisoners, turning Robben Island into what many called the University of the Struggle. Outside, the world began to take notice. Across continents, people marched and sang, "Free Nelson Mandela." The apartheid regime, though powerful, could not silence the growing call for justice. Across continents, people marched and sang, "Free Nelson Mandela." Then, in 1990, the impossible happened. Nelson Mandela walked free, his fist raised high, his smile radiant. He had entered prison as a fiery young revolutionary. He emerged as a wise elder, ready to lead his nation into a new chapter. Negotiations with the white minority government were tense, but Mandela's patience and vision prevailed. He did not call for revenge, he called for reconciliation. "Let us build a rainbow nation," he urged, "where black and white could live as equals." In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections. Millions of people, many voting for the first time in their lives, lined up for hours. When the results came in, Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South Africa. His presidency was not easy. Decades of inequality could not vanish overnight. But he gave his country something even more powerful: hope, dignity, and unity. He set up the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where victims and perpetrators of apartheid could speak, confess, and begin the painful journey of healing. A painful journey of healing. Even after stepping down in 1999, Mandela remained a global icon, a peacemaker, a symbol of resilience, a father of freedom. He remained a global icon. When he passed away in 2013, the world wept, but also celebrated a life that had changed history. The world wept, but also celebrated a life that had changed history. From a boy in a rural village to a prisoner in chains, from a revolutionary to a president, Nelson Mandela's journey was the story of courage, forgiveness, and the unyielding belief that freedom belongs to all. His journey was the story of courage, forgiveness, and the unyielding belief that freedom belongs to all. Nelson Mandela, 1918-2013.